and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there, beloved Ascension Pioneers, all you divine lovers out there, and welcome to this galactic update for the month of August. If you wish to know more on the ascending part of this report, please take a look into the first part, which was an Ascension update, which was all about this graduation point, which we're currently in, a lot of you beautiful souls. So this part will be more on the golden eclipses, which is what Spirit is calling this couple or pair of the royal eclipses that are currently opening a huge major doorway or a gateway into new opportunities. These opportunities are bringing through the potentiality for the what I call the new priesthood now, you know, the priesthood on earth that is finally ready to truly come into being, and this nobility, this high royalty that was a lot of times misunderstood on this planet but is now ready to come back through the integrated heart, which is something what I called you know, the essence of a being that takes care of the well-being of everyone without trying to please, in a way, everyone, you know. So it's kind of like a fine line of learning your soul maturity and seeing how you can fit into this, because there's so many realities playing out right now at this time that we can so easily fall prey to what we are given or being told about the reality that's playing out, instead of choosing to play out our own reality and choosing to co-create, which is a big aspect of this energy. Although we say, well, so much of this energy is now in Leo, and Leo is so much about individualization and the individuality of how we express our own heart and our own creativity. Although we have to be aware that the moment we allow ourselves to be fully individual through a sovereign way, then we're also naturally going to belong in the greater group. You know, like we look at the nature of the lions and how they behave in the jungle, they also kind of belong into a greater group. They're isolated, they're uniquely individual in that sense, but they're also part of a little clan, a little community, okay? So, I want to get into the first thing, which I want to share with you. Again, please take a look into these aspects more greatly in the Ascension update. But I want to show you this this mandala that I was guided to draw on the new moon, which was in 0 degrees of Leo, that happened July 23rd, which actually opened this gateway for the eclipse season. So what I actually created here, as you can see, there's a heart, a centered star of our royalty in the middle. And why I say heart-centered is because there's these magenta spirals that, kind of like hold it in this bubble of divine love, while it has the ability to become fully sovereign. So you can see this golden star, of the royal self. And I was really seeing all the colors and visuals as I was tuning into this energy. And now then it brings forth, it thrusts forth this illumination and these rays of illumination, as there's also this violet for greater royalty and greater wisdom and vision of understanding of this spirituality, because nothing can truly unfold without us having an understanding about something. So whatever we're being told from the outside, if the understanding does not come from within, and I've been teaching this for ages, literally and non-literally, here on Earth, we can't really apply this. We can't make this a structural base here on the planet, which is what you can see is wrapped in this, I always call this golden white essence, the seraphim. It's like our DNA, right? It's like a DNA codement. And this fits into a greater vision of divine perception, which is this royal blue that surrounds it. This is what some people call the blue ray, or the blue royals. It's kind of like this source essence, this first thrust for a lot of souls who are here as pioneering spirits. So when this is encapsulated in this inner momentum that builds up from your own inner structure of divinity that you can embody here on Earth, you can literally make things grow from there. So that's why this green and this luscious new growth comes forth. And it comes forth through also the passion of the red, and a lot of these qualities. Turquoise is for higher heart expression, which is more creative, individual creativity base. So this was what came forth. You can allow yourself to feel into this picture for a while, or you can find it on my blog in Diary of Ascension Pioneer on Blogger. But I wanted to show you this because it is so important, right, for what's happening at this time. So let's get started. So let's talk about the month of August. And of course, as you know, this goes beyond, because eclipses always initiate an energy that will be playing out for another half of year and even more so. So they come in pairs. And particularly this part of the eclipses is so important because they really do activate the royal degree of the star Regulus, which is about that ancient priesthood and the nobility. And I've talked about this in the Ascension update. In this part, I've promised I'll talk about what does it truly mean to be royal, and what are the qualities of it, because, you know, we can hear the words and then we're all about, but what does this mean? I still don't have a clue, right? Because recently I explained in one of my Instagram updates about what does it mean truly to be in the act of selfless service, which is also part of the nobility code, and selfless being that is here to care of the well-being of the whole within the greater divine plan structure. And so I've talked about that being of selfless service is not really an act necessarily. It's more a state of being where your presence is so matured, it's so developed, it simply overflows. And whoever you will meet, whatever kind of circumstances you will be within, whatever you're going to be doing, it's like your essence will flow in that direction, and the focus will be on service. How can I serve? And whatever is brought to you during that day. Sometimes it's just someone maybe you're going to have a conversation with. It's not just the things we do, like I do these videos, or, you know, my life does not end here. We're all so intertwined and interconnected into these greater partnerships that we're building every day. Sometimes with strangers, sometimes, you know, whatever it's happening, there's also a part of activating this nobility, which makes you perceive life is an internal community, which is, of course, the nature of communion. And divine communities of true divine light and divine love, they are always built upon that understanding. So if you want to go deeper into this awareness, because we're going to talk here about the Galactic Heritage again, and I do have 2 courses that are part of the couple, or they're also single. There's Galactic Heritage, how to reach your star map in your own galactic signature in your core creation self, and how you're here on earth, what are your main essences and archetypes you're working with, how to learn that. And the second one is Galactic Consciousness, how do you fit into the whole with that understanding. So these are available on my webpage. They're all a part of this multidimensional training, because we so often like to talk about being multidimensional beings, but then again, it's about application here, and this is what these eclipses are showing us at this time. How will we apply this so that the future years, because the years we're entering now are transit years, basically years of the new transition from 2018 to 2027, 28, something like that, basically overall 2030. And these will be very important pivotal years for us, and those of us who've gone first in the embodiment of our soul, which I have to again remind you does not just happen when you embrace your soul and allow it to come forth. The final stage is always this, what I call the physical ascension, which is when you allow this life force comes through your soul to really be guided through your body, so that your body becomes fully enlightened, in a way illumined through that presence of your liquid light essence. So it has to be emerged on the level of being fully down to the body, not just a perception of your soul, awakening to your soul, divine remembrance, but a full merge in a bodily sense. And this is what I also teach in my Tantrika Life Force Mastery course, how to master this, how to become a master of your own soul merge, how to become a co-creator with the divine, with working with life force of the Holy Spirit. So the first thing, right, what and who is a royal? Sorry, it's like a light is a little bit coming into my eyes, so I'm having difficulty seeing, and it's very reflecting here. So first of all, I would like to say that being a royal is not a label. There was a lot of confusion around this word, and a lot of people still are very appalled when someone says, you know, royal or royal code, and they go like, who do you think you are? What are you talking about yourself as royalty? Do you think you're someone special? Do you think you're something else? It's not about that. It's a state of being, like I've explained before, of highest quality of nobility, of soul's integrity, which makes you such an honorable individual, deeply humble and devoted to selfless service, that's a true quality of royalty. It's not a label, and it's not based on entitlement. So it's not a false perception of this which we perceived as a role. It's not external, and it's not about, like I said, entitlement and false positions that you think you need to acquire if you're royal or you belong to a certain lineage. It's about the soul lineage of that greater soul refinement. So we have soul lineages like Sanat Kumar's soul lineage, right? And some people talk about it as the 144,000 light beings who are here to assist the planet. So that's soul lineage too, a group family. It's like a division of the soul that went forth and created these volunteering aspects that went forth into the planet. So this true royalty is about being more than some sort of external state. You know, the external lines, of course, with your being, but it's not, you know, predominated with the essence of something external. So it's not about worship and rulership, kingship, queenship in the traditional sense as we know it. So the royal code, and watch my video about when I talk about soul nobility and integrity. It was recorded in the mountains, and it really is, it was a preview to what I'm, you know, about to talk about and discuss in this galactic update. You're going to see later as I'm going to apply this to the galactic sense and the story playing out, because this is where we're truly moving into. When we embrace this royal code, nothing and no one from the outside has the ability to manipulate us anymore, because that's what the royal code actually does. So it is an inner state of becoming our golden self, the royal self. And these royal eclipses are activating that code of awakening potential within us. So the royals, as in the elite, we all know them on our planet, are not royal at all in the truest sense, because they truly go against the natural law, you know. So you can read that part in the Natural Birthright book here that I have, the Aha Self-Realization book. There's this beautiful short paragraph which says, "What are your divine rights?" And I clearly will read them to you now. You have a right to be a part of the whole and to ever expand your understanding of how you fit into that whole. You have a right to create fully and clearly in your own unique matter as you learn to do so. You have a right to enjoy life. You have a right to communicate with others and assist them when asked. You see, when asked. So, sorry again. The thing is that with those who are playing royals or that are in governmental positions or any kind of positions of power, if they don't have the nobility of altruism and helping and assisting the whole truly genuinely, they're not really mature souls. They have not evolved. And there's a lot of immature souls that you know that are put in these positions specifically because they have the qualities to make them be fanatical about acquiring power, and that's what they're put there. They're put there selectively by those who are of higher nature, you know, governing these situations on Earth. And we're going to get into that a little bit further. But the thing is that what they do is they impose upon you know, the free creative expression of others and all souls that are, you know, they have to be on their sovereign journey. And they use power instead of divine love and bliss of the true God, which is basically the goodness nature of who we are, of our humanness. Humanity literally means that. It's the human heart that has the great capability of nobility in truth. But a lot of the souls have been led astray by this rulership that comes from the outside, and creating of the human that was initially meant to be as a slave, to be created as a slave race for those demigods and things of that nature, as you know. And the thing is that a lot of these souls are now starting to resist, and they're feeling rebellion on those levels. But that rebellion is more of lower nature because they're going out in the streets and protesting, and you know, all of that. And that's not truly yet royal. When we awaken to what's happening with this manipulation and superimposing of these power projections towards the whole, when we do that through the awakened, illumined code of this royalty and nobility, we do that by the inner power. So we become the introvertly extrovert in a way. So these rulers, right, a lot of them, and the explanations are given through a lot of Pleiadian channelings or Syrian channelings. Examples are Barbara Marciniak's work, Bringers of the Dawn, and her later channels that she does, I think, every year. Sometimes they're posted as videos on YouTube. Then Patricia Corey, she has a series of 3 books from the Syrian Light Council, and a lot of that is also about these beings and the Anunnaki and these demigods and how they control, what are their systems of controlling us, and all of that, because it's good to be aware whenever you're coming at this whole from the perspective that it's not happening or it's too negative. You're kind of like putting a blindfold on yourself. While at the same time, if you become too overly obsessed with that, you're having the perspective that this is the only reality playing out, and you're a victim, and this is how it is, and we're trapped, and we're part of this, and we're all manipulated, and we're all brainwashed, when it's not really the only reality playing out. Because remember, Earth beings, well, those who came to Earth have always been from numerous influences of the galaxy, and they've been coming, having their own agendas, and yet there were only a few, and I really say a few, that had a unified vision that served truly the Lords of, you know, the Lord, the highest Lord, how can I call it? The Holy Spirit, this highest law, the natural law. And a lot of these demigods are actually those who are entitled in the Bible. And people are still quoting the Bible as is from the highest source of God, and it's not. It's really about those who've called themselves gods, you know, and Pleiadians call them those who from the heaven came to earth. And so there's many, many influences, but when you become blinded by the bigger reality, you think that that's the only influence playing out on the earth now. And just because they're so obviously structured on the planet through the systems, which is basically infiltrations in all of the system. It's everywhere. There is no part of our living reality where their tentacles would not expand into. You know, it's not just the religions. We always say, well, it's the religion. It's the, you know, it's the massive government system, it's the military, it's the space programs. It's not just that, it's also infiltrated in the schooling system, in the pharmacy, the medical, control over our food, water. It's everywhere. It's even when you go to travel, things like that, you know, how it's all controlled. Everything has, like I said, the tentacles. But when you claim your sovereign power, and this is what these royal eclipses are bringing through, the potential for us to be in that power, you are going to start to make your own choices where you will create the reality forth, because the souls that are on their own evolutionary process do not necessarily have to become a part of the game. But the reason why a lot of the beings here on Earth have been a part of this game is because in general, what these beings, when they came here almost like 500,000 years ago, according to these documents, 500,000 years ago, when they started coming in and creating a new type of human, because remember, the first human was designed as a light being, was designed through the light family, and then these infiltrations came in and said, well, we want to co-create a slave race to have our own little agendas, and to have our mining stations and the space program, and, you know, to develop all this and the weaponization of space, because there's many space wars going on, you know, and they always have. So what we have neglected to see is that this was just a part of the reality. Of course, it's important to wake up to that. But a lot of people, when these videos can be good, this information can be good, but if you don't know how to use it, again, it's about application through your self-mastery. You can become so obsessed with this information, you stop living your human experience. And this is, again, power's taking away from you. So sometimes think about it, that there's also sources that give you information that's kind of like in the right path, but it's too overly predominantly shown that this is the only reality that, again, manipulates you, because you're not seeing the bigger picture. You don't see that there's also other influences on the planet. I'm going to give you one example. You know, we all talk about how when the solar flares come, and then they're putting all these chemtrails and spraying us and deciding who gets to live and who gets to die. Yes, in a way, but the thing is, if you're looking and observing with your own eyes, and I've witnessed this many times, there's also these space clouds, I call them the little light ships, that also come and help to neutralize the effects. But, you know, sometimes I post these things on Instagram, and suddenly people come, oh, don't you know these are chemtrails? Well, hello, duh, who am I, you know, what am I talking about here? And it's funny because people think you have no clue, because they're so thinking they have it all figured out. But they fail to see the other side because they're so in it. So for us to become truly illumined, that means seeing the whole picture. Not just a little anagram or a piece of the puzzle someone gives you, but the whole. And that can only happen through the soul maturity. So these who came and they considered themselves as these high lords or high gods, in truth, they are truly lesser gods. Why? Is because they work in the shadow, which is the secrecy, the lies, the hiding of things, you know, a lot of things we don't even know that are happening on our planet. There's people who know, but it has to be done through a lot of research and the whole life dedication to that area, for example. And also the darkness, which is the evil, the enslavement, false power, control, manipulation, and all of that. So how can you call yourself you're a part of God? Well, every soul that's creating is a part of the divine. And yet there's rebellious nature of those who've said, no, we're going to create through power. and we're not going to obey the sacred law and the natural law, and we can't decide who gets to live and who dies. We're not in that power to just take this in our hands, and we can't claim the earth is ours, and, you know, this God will have it for, I don't know, 1 millennia, this guy will have it for, you know, things like that. There's more about this in these channels that I recommended to you. So how they work, operate, how they use the thread of life to influence us and bend us to their will as if we're their toys in a way. And they, in a way, live so long, you know. It's been talked about that they can live for millions of years. And I've been contemplating on that. Well, why is this so? And Spirit said to me, well, do you know that those who have an external and constant obsession of immortality from the non-balanced perspective, it's because they're afraid to come to the other side and the spirit side of life and meet themselves as God and meet their mistakes in a way. You know, when I say mistakes, means the lessons of when they went against the sacred natural law, the law of one, the law of unity, the law of divine love and illumination, and they don't want to face it. They don't want to see this. So with this false obsessive idea of immortality, it's because a part of them knows that they're fallen gods in a way. They do know that. So they do go against the natural law and would do anything to keep themselves alive as possible as they can. That's why they've developed this prolonged life era, or this span of years. So they don't want to go to the spirit side, into the light councils in their own shadow. This was very well portrayed in the movie, what's it called, Jupiter Ascending, because you clearly are shown how they are, you know, on their own planets and their own structures, and they're like, oh, the Earth, who owns Earth right now? You know, and then they have these wars about it in between their own families, so there's disputes there as well. So you can see that on Earth playing out as disputes between our own different positions and governments, or, you know, Russia and United States, this president and that president, because there's different castes, these different systems, these different branches. And I'm always shown that when we understand what's happening, and that means you don't have to know every information, every event of every president, of every being, you don't have to. You simply see the way they act, so you have an advantage of knowingship, which means you are awake to what's happening. You don't have to know everything and every detail, because that's not what a world does, but you use that for the advantage of your own growth. So you say, how can I think with my own clarity of perception that I'm not going to be a part of this? Because you can always take yourself away from that, which is their system, and it's their reality. You don't have to play along. And that's the message of my perspective, is to always help you go back into unity, and from the unified perspective, create your own galactic heritage, create your own signature. Okay, so we're going to read about what does it truly mean to be a royal. I'm going to give you these words from Spirit. So to be a royal is to integrate, live, and fully express all of our DNA lineage of the galactic nature in unconditional love and acceptance, the light and the shadow nature of our soul's expression, and become the pure golden one. That is one who fully lives their divine sovereign nature in full soul's integrity, respect for all life, and highest devotion and honor of the prime creator, the source, as the all-being, the allness, the all-pervading creation and life force that runs through it. It is to express our own divinity and authentic divine creativity that does not go against others and other life forms and their creative expressions, but rather honors and contributes to all life through unique individual contribution of sourceness in graceful co-creation with life. So that also means that it's time to rise up from within. This is what this is bringing. If there's going to be a lot of conflict happening on the outside, remember, you can always pull yourself back in your own vortex. And I keep reaffirming to you how much important it is to be in nature, to be with nature, not just because it's pure and there's a lack of these influences and you get away from these electronic devices which can track you, can trace you, can do whatever, but to really once again learn to observe the natural law, because in nature everything operates through that natural law. But it's the little human self that was so conditioned, that was so manipulated, because like I said, the majority of the humans has had this superimposed upon their genome. Their DNA structure was taken apart and dissected to the level when only 2 strands remained. And the vehicles of the human nature were so altered that they literally became we are now the descendants of that, which was created as that slave race. But I'm showing it's not all of us, because a lot of us have pure soul lineages that were never a part of that reality, you see? So you don't have to think in a way, well, everyone was like this. We all have this. People say you have Anunnaki DNA within you, have this DNA. It depends on your vessel. You have a soul lineage, so the travels of your soul and your multidimensional expression and the exploration of these realities, and you also have a physical lineage here on Earth. So your body belongs to, you know, the descendants of many, many bodies that went before you that were a part of the different integration, right? So like I always tell you, to be a master is to integrate the Earth level, planetary level, higher levels, you know, then you have the solar logos, then you expand further, and then you get to the galactic core. So the galactic core, our basic galactic nature, truly has or holds your main essence, right? It's the nobility, the highest quality of how you influence life from your own sovereign nature with your own input, which is unique, does not need to override others, does not need to colonize, because these beings who've done this, they're colonizers. And even our own nature of colonizing and having these wars or disputes comes from there. And recently I've heard an astrologer, when he talked about this, and he said, well, we fight and we have war and all of this. Well, if you look at the Leo, that's its nature. So basically that's in our human nature. And I said, no, no, not the prime nature. It's not really the truth. It is perhaps now the expression or the perception of that expression, but in truth, it's not really human nature. When we talk about the human, we have to go back to the core of where it all began, right? So these later interferences and, you know, having their own agendas that had to deal with the human DNA, they still have many agendas. But for us to say it's a part of our human nature would be almost like denying our first prime creation expression and how the humans were meant to express themselves. And that's why humans are such an important aspect of creation, because they have the ability through that emoting flow center to make up their own choices based on how they feel and what we feel, and making changes from that operability. So to sum it up, right, about shifting our perspective to multidimensional, there's those things and influences we say, such as Anunnaki or these beings or reptilians, all these things, right? I can say, haha, it's funny, right? And even what they are doing with the movies, they're showing us the movies, a lot of it is truth. And then they say, haha, it's just a movie, it's just sci-fi, right? It's just fiction. And a lot of what we're being shown in the movies, we're being literally encoded with. You know, they're showing us artificial intelligence really happening. They're showing us, I don't know, cyborg nation. It's really happening. There's an agenda to make people with all this technology and devices almost like cyborgs. You know, so people would plug away from their feeling center, from being nature beings, from being, you know, aligned with the natural law. And me being ascendant Sagittarius and having so much in the 9th house, and even my son, this is the quality of this natural law, because this is what the Sagittarian or the Jupiterian house is all about. And even my Jupiter is in its natural position as Sagittarius, so I have a really good alignment with this natural law. And for me, it sits well, and it's something I need to literally constantly talk about to help humans awaken that it's not deterministically, you know, so that we say it's just our nature. It's kind of like an excuse. You know, what we were placed with from the very beginning was the ability to evolve through the whole spectrum. If there were souls who said, oh, we want to evolve also through this slave game or victimhood or the Anunnaki play, the souls participated because they thought this would be also good and influential for their soul growth. And there's those who never did, and there's the angelic souls, and there's whatever it is. It's like, it depends on your personal evolutionary journey of the soul. So you have to tune into that. Not just say, well, this reality is happening and it's the only reality. So therefore, if you're watching those videos or getting that information, discern even that, how it influences you. How does it affect your energy? If you're feeling fearful after that, you say, oh, so much is happening, all these things. Right? Just tune into what makes you feel good, but not from that approach of denial, but really good from the perspective of self-empowerment. You know, like when you read these books from Sanat Kumara, they're really self-empowering. They're not in denial. They're not giving you fiction or storylines, but they're showing you how to grow and evolve in your humanness so that you can transcend and become a divine human being. without any kind of manipulations that have ability to influence you, because you have decided to create your own reality. That's the reason behind all of my videos, is to help you walk your self-mastery path and become a sovereign, and as well have the ability and potential to serve the unity consciousness of the law of one. So all these perspectives and numerous realities, right? The key here is to see them all playing out as one. So a lot of what we see in our collective is we need to let it play out. This president said that, this being said that. Well, we need to play it, let them play out, because it's their reality, they're choosing it. You have to make sure that you're consciously participating with what feels right for you. If you have a mission in expressing what's happening, then go for it. But if you think you're just participating and it has nothing to do with you, and you're just doing it out of the status quo, then perhaps it's not where you should be placing your energy focus. So we have to see the bigger picture of divine evolution and how it's all playing out. You have to become wise, and this is a part of this royal code as well. So at the same time, not fixating on only one perspective. Oh, that's just this Anunnaki perspective, you know. I have this neighbor here in our village who, every time in the beginning when we saw each other, she was so focused on this painter, right? And then last time I see her, I asked her, she's like, oh, I'm fine, you know. She's more eased up into that. She's less involved in it, right? So it's not to become too involved with just one perspective. It's to make us aware of how this is happening, or this is playing out. It's all part of the galactic heritage. But don't stop at any story and make it your only story, because perhaps it's not the whole truth yet, and you have to feel that. You have to, you know, intelligent up yourself, in a way, how to say this. So it's seeing one as the predominant reality would not really make us be in that, you know, creative being of our sovereign nature. So there isn't only one reality. Or people say, what's our future? Our future for Earth? There's many possible futures. Depends on what you will be co-creating. Are you wanting to be a part of the cyborg team? Well, go ahead. You know, no one's stopping you. It's, you know, it's your choice. And no one can superimpose, you know, soul choices, unless there's influences that go against the very divine birthrights, which we read here in this book. And those, again, will have to face what they have done, because if you go against this natural law, eventually you will have to witness, you know, the repercussions and the learning tools that are a part of the nature of evolution as well. So the key is to be aware of everything, and yet focus on integration of our wholeness, not to put too much focus on just, you know, everything, on anything. Example that I gave you was the solar flares, right? And then the chemtrails, and to block the sun so we would not get our original light on all this, you know, sun is dangerous for you. That's all an agenda, right? And then you can see at the same time benevolent ETs that come, you know, and help to neutralize this effect. So you have to see both. You have to see the wider effects and the wider contributions of the whole, because it is a collective, not going to perhaps something that will save us, like many people believe, but everyone contributes their own part. That's all I'm going to say. And for the greater good, just as we do, and our part is so majorly important. So let's talk more about these influencers, or we say there's our key players, right? Well, depends on what you would consider a key player. For me, the key player has always been me. In my reality, the key player is me. It's not some ET or demigod or whatever it is. So we have to see how we perceive that. Because if we do perceive them as the controllers, we keep saying the controllers, the controllers. No, the wanting to controllers, yeah. But if you keep calling this forces that go against you in your perception, it's what you're going to create. Because that thought, you know, this higher vision reality, which begins with this thought, the prime thought, it starts to shape your reality in this way. So how do they operate? And how can we see through it? If we activate our human superpower of the seership. I've talked about this as well in many of my videos. Go back. There's a specific video when I talk about the seership code. I gave you an example of the movie Jupiter Ascending. It shows very well how they have their little games set up here on the planet. I gave you Marciniak's channeling examples, or, you know, how they work as colonizers and miners. And even when we colonize and we go into war, that's aspects within our human DNA that still remember that. And it's almost like we become the minions of this consciousness, which is really not really conscious. So all these precious metals and the mining and the gold, a lot of it as well was not just for the purpose of building things. You know, they go into space. You might not see them here on Earth. But a lot of these were also to change some of the projects or agendas. What I was shown recently were to alter the magnetic field of the planet, so it wouldn't go through its natural course. As you know, metals, they're, you know, they conduct energy, the current. So if you've ever gone through something that was wired, it goes, ah, it had something metallic on you. So a lot of it is for those reasons. The thing is, we often have this perception they want to destroy us, but no one wishes to destroy the planet because they don't have then the forces that give them what they need, right? It's really stupid. So the whole world is more going towards the how they want us to be or to behave, or, you know, to have a lot of that control through there was a lot of experiments like the mind control, the MK Ultra, now with these devices and all of that. There was a movie recently came out, what was it called? Tom Hanks, Emma Watson, with the whole watching thing and the Big Brother and how everything is being wired and watched. You know, a lot of these things are really happening. So what they did is, you know, they've created their offsprings here through hybridization of the human race, and they were meant to act out their games. They were like their representatives here on Earth, right? So these fallen ones have had in their group memory those that are now on Earth to serve these lords or their masters, whatever you call them. But a lot of humanity in general has this DNA, like I've said. It's still in our violent nature. It's in our disputes instead of communicating through our divinity. And this in our traits, how it shows is that when we separate, when we fight, when we want to conquer, when we think there's not enough for everyone, this is basically this DNA type. So it's not saying how we heal it, or we say, oh, it's just our nature. No, it's saying, wow, how can I really move more into my primal state of the light human being? And it's all about the mission of my work, is this physical ascension into literally transforming our bodies back to the original design of what it's called by the masters, the Adam Kadmon body. So like I've told you this example, right, when it was said, well, these are just our traits, it's not really true, because it perhaps was their nature and the seeding off that they've later planted into the human genome, but it does not really have to be our nature. And it's time for us to stop saying that and keep reaffirming these things and the negative beliefs, because the human genome, as it was later tempered with, you know, it created this perfect slave worker type, you know, the body that would just fit this agenda, you know, because the DNA strand was so decreased, like I said, was literally taken apart, and whatever they want, they put into it. So now when they're creating perhaps artificial intelligence and all these robotics, they're again putting the different samples of the humans, what they need, you know, like the ETs have said, well, they want a hunter ability, they're gonna kidnap a hunter, they're gonna take their samples, whatever, they're gonna put that into the whole wiring system. That's what they can do. But the thing is, we have to be watchful of, you know, bringing ourselves back into this balance and becoming, like I always tell you, the invisible ones. And it perhaps is a challenging path, but those of you who want it, you're going to do that through your physical ascension, because in a way, to take your consciousness with you in your bodies is the only way that really brings that complete divine protection, not the external protection you put over every day. That's a part to make you safe in this sometimes insane world. But it really is your own divinity when you bring it into the physicality. Like I said, this complete soul merge with the body. So the first human prototype, like I said, was of light beings. I've talked about that many times before. That's why I even tell you, when people who are feeding off meat, they're in their program. That's designed in their nature. But when you're coming from your light DNA as a, you know, the primal human being, divine light being, you won't want that. You're just clearly going to reject that, because your cells will finally remember their true divine heritage. They're going to start refusing that food, which is not really food. It's dead energy, and it's really going against the sacred law. So as above, so below. Yes, that what it means is that the seed of life, and I will talk about this in my Tantrika last part of the book, which I'm now starting to write, how this was all primarily designed in our divine human nature. But for now, I just want to say that it's important for us to claim our bodies back, increase our awareness, become smarter, become just open and open-hearted. This is not a time to say, oh, this is all crazy, I'm just going to close up my heart and wait it all out so it passes. No, because you haven't done anything. You always take your soul with you. Your soul is here with you, and it's a traveler in this way. You might have a body for now, but you can't just wait things out or, you know, escape things. It's not really about escapism. It's about going through these difficulties that helps to strengthen our spirit and form. So don't just blindly believe what you're being told, media, what else, politics, religion, all of that. It's all this creation. And even people who are constantly tuning into the Bible, even if they're well-intended and well-hearted, I will just stop listening because I can't. Because I really know that there's so much in it that's just placed in, you know, when you're saying certain names in the scriptures, you're not being creative from within you. You're not utilizing your creative source. You're reading what someone else wrote there as in a mantra, a statement, and ugh, it's just not. It just feels yucky. And when I tune into it, it's like, no. And there's a lot of people who don't have that awareness yet, and they want to do good. So they read Bible and they're like, oh, you know, reading those scriptures, and over, and that's all they read. They become in this bubble. It's not all there is. Sorry to say that. It's just how it is. So we have to infuse with the light. We get all these codes from our solar logos. Remember, the sun is so powerful. Don't fear it. I still sometimes, when I have my photos up in the sun, people say, oh, be careful out there. I'm like, oh gosh, it's so ingrained. It's just so deep that you know, you don't know why sometimes you get sick or you feel bad and you blame the sun. It's the energies, not the sun itself. But it's that which is being brought up to the surface by the sun. That's what is making us sick, not the light itself. The light never makes sick. So the reason why we sometimes say, oh, it's too magnetic, it's too much, it's because we have been living in the shadow for so long that if it's too much light too soon, you know, it in a way debilitates us, or how to say that. So go away from just spending hours at the computer, internet, wanting to search answers. Go to your internet, rather than internet. It has to be an internal. It's a good name, right? Internet. It's not really internal. So spending all these hours, you can go out in nature, you can receive. People always say, how do I receive this? How do I know these things? Because I'm so much just with spirit. I'm so much in this quietude, in the solitude of nature. And I know the sacred law through seeing, through observing, through remembering what is already in my soul. It's all there. It's all in the light, primal seed of life, the illumined DNA. So there's many vibrations from without that can entrance us, even music. If it's not well intended, you know that. Like there was recently this video, I didn't watch it, I just saw a title of the MK Ultra experiment and the Techno Society, you know, with the new young generation. And just before that, I watched a movie on the techno. There was this, I think it was a French movie, it's called Paradise, yeah. It was interesting because it showed literally this life of a young DJ, how they get hooked into that, they can't get out. In the end, he was bankrupt, he couldn't get in a relationship, he was lost. Because all they did was the drugs and the music, and it literally kept him in this bubble, this fake bubble. They could not face reality. They could not create through embodied earthly presence. So that's a very interesting point there. Young population is being so targeted. And sometimes when you see young people, I'm outside, you know, and then there's young people coming with the radio and the boombox, this rap music, and all they can hear from them is curse words. And it's terrible, and you cannot hate them. Because it's not even them. They've just been so enslaved in this. And all you can feel is just this love and this compassion. I say, well, oh my gosh, it's just gone so deep. And the moment you judge them, you say, oh, look at them. Oh, terrible. You know, don't do that, please. Because we're not really helping that way. Because there's so many beings that sometimes you're just there with your presence is enough. Just to shed light, just be light. And just have compassion for them. What they're choosing is not easy. And you might judge them and point fingers, and we all used to be like that when we were younger and very passionate, like, who, you know, why are they doing this? They're destroying, they're littering. But a lot of it is because they've been so disengaged, so disassociated from their feeling center of life, the feeling side of the humanness within us that has disengaged them from the world, so they can't feel how it is when you litter, when you speak only curse words, when you just curse life, you know, that's what it means, you curse life. So also the poor foods, controlling our childbirths with all these toxins and so many difficulties now with births, and you know, autism, all of that is a part of this. But in this, what I'm talking about these things today, and I know a lot of people thought, well, she's just going to talk about all this light. This is a part of this. This is where light needs to go, and all those branches and fractions that have been separate, that have been infiltrated by that which wants to keep things under the surface and in separation mode. So also about this decrease of our population and all of that. It's really about just taking things into our hands and saying, oh, look at those pretty little humans, you know, blowing them away. Oh, this many remains, oh, we like that. It's almost like that. It's almost like playing with a toy. But the moment you remember you're not a victim, you're no one's slave, oh, it's in my DNA, it's my nature, stop saying that. And start affirming sovereignty within you. You are your own integral sovereign. No one can control you, manipulate you, force you into anything if you're doing something. And if you're blaming your DNA code, well, then you're not really aware. Because the soul evolutionary growth happens through witnessing that and saying, ooh, no, I'm going to stand up for myself. That's the line, and that's the true nature of these golden eclipses, is to bring us into that conscious state. And of nobility, and assisting others to pass that bridge as well. So the thing is, we want to tune into nature and become natural organic beings again. That was literally my point. And what I feel is, like I said, those of you who are watch my first Ascension update video, who are in this graduation period, you will now set really strong foundations for what is to come, for this new light being human race. That perhaps you say, well, it's in the minority. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. Remember that. And when it truly is coming through you, then you have the power, you know, to just alter the reality of those who feel they want to step into this new. And I want to show the star again. It's been such a serious video topic, I know, but on the other hand, let's also say that if you look at this, Leo is also a lot about play, this creative play. So creativity is not like, what do I need to do to help? No, no, no. Just tune into that creative element of it, which is about how to make it naturally happen and flow through me. And that it's not forced, that I'm aware of what's happening, but at the same time I'm smart, I'm wise. I'm so strong that I'm not separate from this game. You know, I'm choosing my own. I'm just as powerful. If any being, any soul has, you know, the power to change or make this reality a certain way, obviously I can do the same. And that was always test. And like Sanat Kumara says, this cosmic day we're living now is called courage. This is the name of the game, and this is where we are. A lot of it is unfolding right now for those first beautiful graduates. I love you so much, beautiful Ascensionpreneurs. Keep walking forward and know that you're doing good. If you have in any way interest, please, you can always go on my page, Serapina Light, check into my courses. They're really good. They help you to spark up your inner mastery and live that in a perfectly balanced way. Until my next time, I'll see you soon, and have a beautiful month of August wherever you are, whatever you are doing, and whoever you're spending your time with. Know that you're always in co-creation and partnership with the divine. So everyone you meet is a part of that divine. Even if that's a part of those that want to control, there's still an aspect that has just gone so much into this game of separation that they forgot to see the whole. So still love everything as from the whole. Take care, and so many blessings. With love, wisdom, and power as always. Bye-bye. So I wanted to show you some of the recent galactic portraits that I did for some beautiful beings, because I've mentioned to you that now I also have shifted into doing these personal mastery from the galactic core essence of who you are as portraits. So I took these two little with me today, and I wanted to show you. So the first one is this one, and it is this beautiful angelic being who, as you can see, there's this angelic it's almost like this symbol, and with the wings and the crystals, working with the crystalline realms and the crystal frequency, and with voice, as you can see, is channeled through the voice. And then you have the planet Earth in the background, sending love to Gaia. And if you can see on the upper part, you have these crystals that are actually sending out and tuning into the multidimensional reality from other realms. So this is almost like the angelic angelic fae being at the same time. It's very beautiful. So that's the first one. And now the second one is this one, which is almost like this, this beautiful angelic fairy. As you can see, there's very psychic energy and the activation of the sacred beloved heart. Well, I also I saw this like a giant cosmic butterfly essence, which is really that deep wisdom essence, you know, and a lot of, as you can see, illumination there on the upper level in connection to these different realms. But on the earthly side of things, as you can see, in a grounded sense, there's a connection to nature and the natural elements. You see flowers, grass, the meadows. As the eyes, you see there's a lot of this green and pink, very much the pink ray energy. So that's also the second one that I made. So I wanted to show you these two because I was so excited doing them. And if you ever really wish to get your own portrait done, and you can find out more about your soul essence that way, that's available on my page under personal services, just under my sessions. And yeah, these two little lovely beings, and I know them in real life, and they're just gorgeous beings. So I want to say hi to you. And